Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. End of August, end of another pens in use month. This month, use me up. All about how many pens can I empty out and get out of my pen case, cleaned up and put away. So join me now down on the table. Let's take a look how I've been going on, what did I think of my starting lineup and how do I rank them. Welcome down to the table. Pens in use, August 2023, use me up. How did I go with this month's pens? So we started off with a Jinhao 85, a Wingsun 3013, a Nahvalur Schuylkill, the Pelikan M205, a Nahvalur 365, even though I mistakenly wrote Schuylkill, and a Diplomat Aero. So, how did I rank these pens? How did I get on with them? At position number 6, I decided to give that to the Wingsun 3013. It's a nice transparent pen. It's a nice demonstrator pen. It's a vacuum filler. So if I just lift this up a bit, I can unscrew the hair. That's pulling that seal away a little bit. That'll come out and then fill it up with the vacuum. It's got a smallish nib. I do like this transparent feed. It's nice to be able to see the ink there because with it being a transparent one, you can actually see what's going on. Looks very nice. Holds a lot of ink. The ink in here, Herbin Éclat de Saphir. It was alright. It didn't overly excite me though. The pen, it's light. It's very thin. Although the section's not too bad, but it just feels light. It's not even possible to post it. Writing wise, yeah, didn't have many issues with it. It's a fine nib. My preference is for broad nibs. Obviously, that does come into my decision. But I had to score these, and when I was looking at it, I was thinking, compared to the others, this one, it comes in at position number 6. My scoring pen, in case you want to know, is the Lamy AL Star. And this has got a 1.5 stub nib. So that's the Wingsun 3013. Position 5. Started to get a bit difficult now. I've got to be honest, all these pens were very, very close in how I preferred them, how I liked them. Position number 5 though, I thought Jinhao 85 for this one. This is a thin pen again, as you can see if I take the cap off. The cap unscrews. It's got this hooded nib, but it's thin to hold, so I find it's uncomfortable for long writing sessions. The Wingsun 3013 was a little bit more comfortable, but it was the nib that really put me off on that. This one, we've got a Fude nib, so hopefully if I can get my hand up close enough, you can get an idea there. You can hopefully see that nib. Gives beautiful line variation. So here we are, what I did when I started the month. Jinhao 85 there, that part is how I normally hold it. Then where it says Fude, that's where I held it quite high. So we've got that real thin line. This is why it beats the 3013. Again, it's not a bad pen. This one is a cartridge converter. Just take the body off. There we go. Comes with that cartridge. Comes with that converter, should I say. I like the wooden body. I like the looks of it. It's a screw-on cap, so I don't have to worry about it popping off in my pocket. There's a little bit of like a tactileness to the cap because of the way we've got these striations going down. Diamine Autumn Oak. Really like it. It's an ink. I've had it for ages. Never really used it. I need to fix that because as I was using it in this pen, really enjoyed it. And I've got to be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that this is a use me up month, I would have refilled that again with that self-same ink. It was nice to use. But the thinness, the lightness, this is really what's determined it. Lengthwise, it's actually not too bad. And it will post, although I think long-term posting a metal cap onto a wooden body may end up scratching it. But it was just that thinness and that lightness. That's the only thing which really put me off. And so for that reason, we're going to give this position number 5. So this is the Jinhao 85. Let's just move this up so we can see the remaining 4 pens. Position number 4. Well, I think I may be getting some weird looks off a lot of people. Position number 4. I'm actually going to give to the Diplomat Aero. It's a nice, unusual pen, isn't it? It's an unusual shape. I love this metal. It's aluminium and it's the raw factory finish. Lengthwise, it's not too bad. Section, though, bit on the thin side for me. And I do feel my fingers get squashed together. The section is metallic and it feels quite slippy. Now, I hold my pen down near the bottom, so it's not too bad, but I think if I held it higher up, I'd have my fingers slipping down the pen as I was writing. It's number 6 nib. The nib's nice, it writes really well. There we've got the converter. This ink, this St. George's Cross, you can see it's stained the inside of the converter a little bit. Now, I have cleaned this twice, and I've put it through an ultrasonic cleaner twice, and that staining is still there. So that's a bit of a shame. So it's comfortable to use, nice length, nice weight. Although it's aluminium, you expect it to be light, but yeah, there's a nice weight to it. I wish the cap was screw on rather than pop on. I have had a couple of instances where the cap has come loose when it's been in my pen case. The other thing I get with this, because I forget it's a pull off, I start twisting it and I end up unscrewing the body from the section. I enjoy writing with it. I enjoy the red ink. It was nice to have a really bright red ink, a different coloured ink for me. So I'm ranking this compared to the other pens though, which means this comes in this month at position number 4. So that's the Diplomat Aero. Just dropping in to interrupt your regular programming. Would you like to help support the channel? If so, please consider joining as a member. As a member, you'll get early access to my videos. I normally upload them a couple of days before they go out, and as soon as they're uploaded, they'll be released to members. There'll also be a shout out at the end of the videos, and then as we get the members coming in, we'll actually chat among ourselves and work out what other perks, what other things you'd like me to add in. You know, would you like maybe a monthly live chat just for members? All down to us. So please, if you can, consider joining the channel. A link will be in the description down below. So we've got 3 pens left. Which one's going to come in at position number 3? Will it be the Nahvalur 365, the Pelikan M205, or the Nahvalur Schuylkill? Very, very difficult to pick between them. Loved all the pens. Really liked every single, I'd say quite easily any one of the 6 could have been number 1. I've enjoyed them all. But position 3, I've decided that will go to the Nahvalur Schuylkill. This is in Paul Peter Navy. Just look at this. Let me lift it up a little bit, then you can get a little bit better look. Let me pop my hand there, see if that helps with focusing. Very nice pen, lots of colour in there. It's a piston filling pen. It does have an ink window. One of the things that lets this down for me, and I'm being extremely picky here, and I know I keep saying this, I'd have liked the window to be double the width. It's just about usable. As you can see, there's not a lot of ink left in here. I'm going to actually clean this out after I finish this video. The nib on here is a Nahvalur nib. There we go. It's a number 6 size nib. Very easy to swap the nibs. I've got this Nahvalur medium on here. I do have another Schuylkill, and on there I've got a Yoho broad nib, and that's very, very wet. In the hand, it's a nice fit. It's nice and comfortable. It's not too thin. My fingers aren't squashed against each other. It's got a little lip at the bottom, so I don't have to worry about my fingers sliding off and down onto the nib. It's nice and long. I think it's just perfect length for me. It will sort of post, but it posts onto the piston knob. So if you're twisting it when you're trying to take the cap off, you could end up twisting that piston knob and ejecting ink. So not really something I would recommend. So not really a postable pen, even though it will actually post. All in all, it's a really enjoyable pen. I've quite liked this Navajo turquoise in there. One of the things over the last couple of days I've noticed with it is I am getting times when there's a little bit of skipping. I think it's because the ink's getting quite low. So I'm not going to blame the pen for that. Up till, as I said, this last couple of days, it's been perfectly fine. The ink in here lasts and lasts and lasts. Usually I get 2 or 3 months out of one fill. It just seems to really just keep going. But again, I have to rank, so I've decided to rank this at position number 3. So that's the Nahvalur Schuylkill. Position 2. Again, we're down to a choice of 2 pens, either the Pelikan M205 or the Nahvalur 365. I've decided that position 2, I'm going to give that to the Nahvalur 365. Again, it's a piston filling pen. Ink window, again, I'd like to see it double the width. It's empty at the moment, so you can actually see quite nicely through there. The pen itself, it's in that Nautilus shape. It's got an ink window here rather than the round portholes. I do like them round portholes, but again, they're not very useful. Another pen, it's a nice fit. It's wider than the Schuylkill, so I actually find it a bit more comfortable to use. I love the colouring. This is Jonathan Brooks Primary Manipulation 3.5. Just look at that gorgeous colours there coming through. Very, very pretty. I've fixed the issue I had here with the ink cap. So now this will unscrew and push down the piston, and then it will go back down, pulling that piston up to fill it with ink. Still a little bit of a gap, so it's not perfect, but it's certainly better than it was, and I'm quite happy with this now. The nib on here, it's a Goulet Pens Yoho nib. It's a broad nib. Very, very wet combo, this very wet writing pen. As we can see here, when I was doing my drying times, even after 2 minutes, look how wet it was. And that's one of the downsides with this pen. And to be honest, part of the reason why it's position 2. Not very practical for note taking. But it's a pretty pen. I like this Cult Pens little pip. But I'll just hold it up. Hopefully we can catch this. So it's a purple base, but it's got masses and masses of gold sheen. And I think it goes really well with this pen. You know, we've got a bit of purple here in the cap, but then we've got all these like golden browns which fetch out that gold sheen as well. Again though, I need to rank. So where does it rank? It ranks at position number 2. So that's the Nahvalur 365. Which means we know what the winning pen is. The winning pen is the Pelikan M205. This has got a broad Pelikan nib on it. It's a steel nib. There's the nib. Looks quite little, doesn't it? Still got ink in this pen. It's a piston filling pen. Seems to hold a massive amount of ink. I've been writing with this and writing with it, and no matter what I do, I can't get it to run out of ink. I like the match with the ink. They're Diamine Royal Blue. I think that picks out the colours there in the body really well. Now, I have been told there's an ink window somewhere around here. I am struggling to see it. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting until the pen's empty. I think I can just about see it here. Let me see if I can get it into focus. I can just about see something there, which may be an ink window, but it's very, very dark is the material. So you can hardly see it. So if that's the case, if it's so dark, it's not really usable as an ink window, is it? But it's still there. What really sets this pen off for me is the nib. I say it's a broad nib. It's one of the nicest nibs I've got. Wow, it is so nice to write with. It's just got a gorgeous amount of feedback. It's very tactile. It's just as if I'm really writing. I can feel it. And for me, I like the tactileness. I like the feedback. I really enjoy it. The pen downside, a bit on the small side. It's the M205. Definitely a bit on the thin side. I have to use this posted. It does post quite nicely. Posts onto the top of the body, so that's not a problem. Doesn't make the pen feel too back heavy either. I need to start saving up some money because I'd love to maybe try a Pelikan 805 or 800 just to see what they're like, how I compare with this. But so far, wow, it's one of my nicest pens. Really love it. For that reason, it ranks at position number 1. So that's a Pelikan M205. Just going to turn the page and we'll look at the pens that I brought in. So the first one, Visconti Breeze with Diamine Red Dragon. This is an expensive pen for what it is. I do think it's overpriced. It's nice. It's a nice writer. I need to give this another clean out. I think we've still got a bit of ink floating in there, but it looks like blue ink, not the red that I had in. It's all right. It's nice to use unposted, which is good because, yes, you can post it, but it makes it way, way, way too long. It's a nice width. I loved this ink, this Red Dragon. I know blue and red, I think it looks really nice when I'm writing. As I say, I do believe the pen's overpriced. It's an enjoyable pen. It's a pen I do use every so often. It's got a magnetic cap. This is quite interesting. Doesn't bother me too much. So it's the Visconti Breeze. The next pen I brought in, let me just move this up, is the Platinum 3776 Century. This is in Burgoyne. This has got a medium platinum nib on it. I believe it's a hard nib. There we go. One of the issues I had with this is when I was using it, it would stop writing all the time. And what the issue was is actually down to the converter. The converter I had put into a Preppy because I needed it in a Preppy for a while. And when I put it back in here, the converter didn't fit very well. And it was forever coming loose. So what was happening, it was coming loose and the ink would stop flowing. I'd have to carefully open it up and put this back. I don't know if you can see, we've got red stain in there on the threads. That's where the ink was getting onto the threads. What I did is a couple of people made a suggestion of dipping the bottom of the converter in hot water, leaving it for about 30 seconds, so that would have softened the plastic back up, then standing it and pressing down for 30 seconds to a minute, which I did that, then I popped it back in. That seems to have fixed that fit shape. There we go, it now fits and it's nice and stiff to come out again. So hopefully next time I use this, I won't have that same problem. The pen, bit small. I do find this one I have to use posted. Again, doesn't feel too back heavy. The section, quite a nice size. The nib's lovely to write with. When it writes, it's really, really nice. Now, when I bought it, it was 200 Aussie dollars. I think it's gone up in price now. I'd like to eventually get another platinum, but what I would do is I would look at the nib size and nib choice. I'd look at something, is it maybe like a music nib or a zoom nib, a very different type of nib. Because I find this medium just too thin for me, especially because I like to use colours in it. So that was the Platinum 3776 Century. See if we can get the last four. There we go. So the next pen I brought in, this is the Platypus Model 10. This is a 3D printed pen made by a gentleman over in Melbourne. All 3D printed. Nice length. Will post. I find I don't need to post it, and it does wobble a bit. As you can see there, the cap's wobbling when I'm moving it. Fits nice in the hand though. The section, nice and comfy. I like this texture here. This is like a herringbone pattern, but you can feel the texture when you're writing, and it feels really nice. He has put a little bit of a weight in the back, so there is a bit of weight to the pen. It's all resin, so I'm guessing you could eyedropper it. I don't intend to. Comes with a converter. There's the converter inside it. And then it came, and you pick your nib, and I've got a Yoho broad nib on here. Very nice. Nice nib. Writes absolutely gorgeously. Had no problems with this pen in terms of writing. So that's the Platypus Model 10. Next up is a pen I don't use very often. Let's straighten up this. This is the D-Like New Moon 2. I believe it's now labelled as a Mahjong New Moon 2. It's a smallish pen. Reminds me quite a lot of a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. It is longer than the Pro Gear Slim, so it may be more Pro Gear sized. I am intending to do a comparison of this and my Sailor Pro Gear Slim in a couple of months. It's another one. Cartridge converter. There's the cartridge. Metal fitting, so you wouldn't even think about eyedropper in this. I love this. I think it's called Dusty Rose. It might be Dark Rose, this pattern. Quite unusual. It's not too in your face, so it's something you could easily take to a meeting. The pen itself is a nice size. It's a nice width there in the section, and it does post quite nicely. I like this limey crystal beryl. I think it's quite a good match. Maybe a bit too much on the purple side. Maybe I could do with a bit more of a dustiness. So when I next use this pen, I'll look for a more dusty ink to put in it. But overall, it's quite nice. And when you consider it was only 18 Aussie dollars, I think it's good value. So that was the D-Like New Moon 2. Next up, we've got the Waterman Karen. This is a very nice looking pen. 18 karat gold inlaid nib. It's a medium nib. Cartridge converter. There's a cartridge that came with it. Comfortable pen, nice length, but because of this section, I do find it feels a bit on the thin side. Not uncomfortably so, but it just does feel thin. The cap, it clicks on, so it's not a twist off. Again, I'd like twist off, but that's a very personal preference. I like the looks of this pen. It's got that medium nib, I say 18 karat gold. Now the price here, this is what I paid about a year ago. I paid 266 Aussie dollars. I've priced this up again recently, and the same place that I bought this from a year ago, it's now 400 Aussie dollars. But a lot of that price difference is due to the fact that the exchange rate between the UK and Australia has really just bottomed out. So it is a lot more expensive to get anything from the UK. I like this Diamine Ox Blood in here. I think it's a good match there for the colour of the body. Very nice. I did have, though, some issues when I was writing with this. It would stop writing. Now, I don't know if it's that there's a definite sweet spot on the nib, and maybe I was just rotating it a little bit too much, but I'd be writing away, and all of a sudden, it would just stop writing. I'd have to lift it up, maybe shake it a bit, start writing again. And that was happening every 2 or 3 lines, so it was very, very rapid. So what I've actually done is I've now cleaned it out. I've put the nib through my ultrasonic cleaner to give it a really good clean. And I've put a different ink in there. It's now got Diamine Earl Grey in there. And you'll see this pen in next month's Pens in Use. So this is the Waterman Karen. The last pen was the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. 14 karat gold nib. It's a number 5 Pilot nib. There we go. Rhodium plated. The ink I've got in here, Van Diemen Apple Island Green. Love this ink. It seems to work quite well in this pen, or at least it did until this month. So I brought this out a few weeks ago, well, about 2 weeks ago, and I was finding that I was having terrible issues with ink flow. So I'd be writing away, like you do, write. It's just stop writing, there'd be no ink. Again, I just had to shake it a couple of times, and most of the time that started it up again. A couple of times I had to work the piston filling knob just to try and flood the feed with the ink. Again, it would then write for a while, then stop. What I did is then, to try and fix this, is I pulled out the nib and feed, thinking, well, maybe from previous uses, maybe there's some ink that dried in the feed. Ran that through my ultrasonic cleaner a couple of times until the water ran clean. Put it back in. First day, it was fine. Second day, back to having the flow issues. So my current thinking is maybe it's to do with the ink. I've had this inked up for about 3 months, and I'm wondering if there's been some evaporation from the ink in the barrel, and that's caused the ink to go too viscous, and that might be what's causing the issue. To try and work that out, what I'll be doing is, after this video, this will be getting cleaned out. I'll be given a really good deep clean. I'll ultrasonic it again just to make sure. Then I won't be filling it up again for a while, but next time I fill it up, I'll then be able to experiment and see if I'm getting the same issues. This pen, it's another one. It's just about usable unposted. I do tend to use it posted. It's actually quite nice. Again, it's a very light cap, so you don't really notice that when you post it. Posts nicely onto the body. Section, bit small, bit thin. Not uncomfortably so. And when it writes, it's a beautiful writer. So that's the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. I'm just going to swap them over, and I'll fetch in all the pens for one final look. This month I've had that many pens, I've had to fetch in a little extender. So position 6, Wingsung 3013. Number 5, the Jinhao 85. Number 4, Diplomat Aero. Number 3, the Nahvalur Schuylkill. Number 2, the Nahvalur 365. The winning pen for the month, the Pelikan M205. Extra pens, we've got the Visconti Breeze, Platinum 3776 Century, Platypus Model 10, D-Like New Moon 2, Waterman Karen, and Pilot Custom Heritage 92. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. How have you been getting on this month with your pens? What do you feel about them? What do you think about my ranking? Please drop any comments down below. Let's kickstart a conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.